Okay, so it's Nofap day 6. Day 6 of this streak, and close to 7 a.m. I just decided to hike out of here, or hike out to my car. But so I got the sequel boot camp done. Got that certification. Added it to my LinkedIn, and started picking away at the C#. I almost said C++, but the C# boot camp. Probably gonna, I don't know, maybe I'll pick away at it a bit more, but might just go to sleep finally, because I was up all night finishing up the sequel boot camp, and then started picking away, like I said, at the C# boot camp, but took a break here and there. I think I got some and I think I actually got some food poisoning, not from these courses, obviously, but I think I had some of that for the last few days. Might be that I didn't clean my glassware that I was using for making, or for microwaving some hot dogs, and maybe I didn't clean it properly or whatever, but somewhere along there I got that, so I haven't been feeling all that great. But so I've got 3 of those certifications, getting back on topic, but I got 3 of those certifications on my LinkedIn now, trying to get another one knocked out before the class next week. But I'm also thinking I should probably take a look at some of the material. I have studied some of the material for the certification next week. I have studied that sort of stuff for I think it's 6 to 8 months or so, maybe more than that, self-study prior to this. I took a break from it for a number of other reasons that I don't need to reiterate from the last few months, but the last several months. But I've already kind of gone through everything that was sort of publicly available, if you will, for this system, because I had the service manual, the user manual, then I was able to get the programmer's manual from my old boss, and he also sent me an install for I think it's probably for the older version of the integrated development environment for that software. But I worked my way through all that stuff. I think some of the things that I wasn't able to build is because I didn't have access to those libraries, because they're for the newer version of the software, which is what they sent me from the actual trainer for this course. But so it's kind of where I'm sitting at right now. I am starting to feel a bit of the crutch, or the pressure to get back into applying for jobs and that sort of thing. But I've been getting I've been getting contacted by recruiters and that sort of deal. But a lot of the jobs I looked at, then they send me this stuff. It's sort of feeling I couldn't really apply at that point. I think I said in the last video, having some of these certifications is kind of like having a security clearance. They won't really look at your resume or even give you a shot when you don't have experience, unless you have a certification showing that, okay, you've obviously gone through some sort of work on this, or training or so, and you actually understand certain concepts, and you've probably built some applications or so, or methods for these robots, robot systems, because obviously they don't want to throw somebody on one of these projects or on any of those machines who hasn't had the training or experience, because if you're an engineer writing code for this sort of stuff, it's you got these very expensive machines where I think some of the parts, like the what they call them a head, which is like has all the channels on it picking up liquid, like those parts are like $40,000-$50,000, and it's like you don't want to have someone on there who's gonna like end up crashing the system, because that's going to cost them a whole ton of money. And if you're an automation engineer, automation specialist, writing the code for that sort of stuff, it's like, I mean, you have a lot more effect. Your decisions have a lot more effect and carry a lot more weight than just some operator on the manufacturing floor. So it's kind of difficult to get your foot in the door when you don't already have experience, in terms of like, having actually worked on something, unless of course you have a certification, that the company's kind of signed off on, you saying, okay, this person's, passed muster, that sort of deal. So, this is going to be like a longer process in the future, even if I, do end up getting an actual automation engineer position. Because there's like, it's not like there's necessarily an unending list of systems, but kind of are. Some of these robots, they're more widely used. They're more widely used, but some of them, it's like they're not as widely used, and it's sort of like you could learn one system and then you can move from company to company for several years, and then you move to some new company and suddenly they're like, hey, we use this one robot, and it's like, oh, I never heard about it before, and you have to go and train on it or so. Like I know of a handful that are widely used, and there's this one that it's like I only see it mentioned every so often in job descriptions, and it's like I've run those, I've worked with them, but it's kind of difficult and costly to sort of make that leap. So I mean, like this certification, it costs $5,000. Luckily, I have $5,000 laying there, and I have some of the resources I can pull to cover cost of living for now. But this is really the big ticket item, and obviously I get through this, and assuming I get another job and I can stack another 5,000, I'll get the advanced level certification, and I'll be basically done with training for that system. There's like one other system at that company that they make another machine that I would want to learn, and then I'd basically be like certified for all their stuff, and I could move on to other things. But this is sort of the big this is sort of the big leap. This is the the start of the process, and this is sort of the starting point. So doing everything I can to get as much stuff on my LinkedIn or resume as I can. A lot of these programming language type stuff that I'm doing right now, I'm not really expecting myself to become an expert, especially not overnight. And I don't know necessarily how much of each of them I'd be using. Some I'd probably end up using more than others, but it's sort of a good idea to have some exposure and have an actual like official certification showing you have exposure to these different topics, at the very least, because some companies might use one over the other more, but like I've said before, like a lot of this stuff is they're sort of there as tools in your tool set that you can use to sort of streamline things. Like I'd say if I was working as an automation engineer, most of the code I'd be writing would be for these specific robot systems, but if I for some reason need to take a huge stack of data that's stored in a CSV file or so, and then I need to like break that down to smaller data sets and then analyze those, well, Python for one is a great tool for automating that. You write a quick Python script, You run that, bam, you breaking up that huge data set into smaller data sets. Then you can go and analyze that, or you can visualize your data, you can, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's kind of really where that comes into play. And if I can at least demonstrate that I know enough to be considered familiar with it, probably throw some of those scripts, in my GitHub, et cetera, that should hopefully make things a lot easier. So, times are coming. This next week, I'm really going to start applying to different positions or different jobs, and really step things up in that sense. And then we'll see when I can get around to the level 2 certification. I really wanted to be signed up for the July one, but again, that's another like $5,000, ticket item. And, I may be looking at things going, okay, like where should that money be going? Because I already have $5,000 set aside to get this because, this current one, is starting next week, because that's just something my experiences being my experiences and my drive being what it is, like, I know I gotta get that, and there's no telling when I'll actually have another $5,000 laying there that I can pay for this sort of stuff. And this is a huge investment in myself, and I just basically kind of like done with being stuck in the sort of spot that I've been stuck in, where it's like, the typical like technician job and the real slog that takes a lot out of you, and being around the caliber of people I had to be around, it's sort of hit or miss, when you're in the manufacturing or production team. There are some great people there, but it's the kind of job at the level where it's like you could be very easily dealing with some, I'd say really bad people or relatively bad people, and a lot of it is just like folks like people looking at life and just they're not happy with their lives. They're it's almost the I was supposed to be a doctor, or I was supposed to be an engineer, I was supposed to be this or that, and here I am, and I gotta deal with this guy or this girl, and it can be oftentimes like that, and I've had times where I've just to one extent or another been that person, but and I hope there's something I hope that I was self-aware enough, especially if you see like some of the videos I made for this channel, where it's very much like, okay, like here's how I'm feeling, here's what I'm dealing with. I'm trying to get perspective on this and understand what is really at work and that sort of thing. Like there were enough times where, like for instance, I realized that it wasn't that I hated my job or that I hated the people I worked with. It was just like stuff like I'm just freaking tired, and because I'm tired, because I'm sleep deprived or I'm exhausted or so, therefore I'm prone to a certain state of mind wherein I'm looking at the world and looking at life and seeing all the sort of like seeing the world as a glass half empty as opposed to half full, and sort of reflecting on life and seeing all the negatives and all the bad things that have happened and all the bad people, and like I would try to be aware of that enough, but like a lot of the folks I've worked with, especially at the last job, they were very much like the glass is half empty and it's not fair, and I'm so ticked off that I gotta be with be with these people or working with this person, and I'm just gonna take it out on them and that sort of a deal. And then of course there was like the dealing with like that girl I dealt with, where and I got pulled into it. I'll be honest with you, I got pulled into it. She was very much the physically attractive type, but there was also an element of like brattishness or brattiness and, spoiled, princess mentality and, like, I can't believe I have to work. I have to work, and sort of looking for excitement that she couldn't find elsewhere because, her family's conservative or, and they're from a certain culture where, that's more like ingrained in the culture and, my daddy won't let me do this and that and this and that. And, he can't stop me while I'm at work, if I want a boyfriend, that he wouldn't like, like I can find that here because he's not here to stop me, that sort of thing. And, so much so that stuff being very much a game to her. And, stuff like where if she was assigned to work with me, but she rather wanted to hang out with the other guy, she would there were times where she would just run off to go and hang out with him. And I'd be left in the lab to do work, I don't want to be around that caliber of individual. And, or to not be around that caliber of individual is something that and this is, sort of fed into my willingness to set aside $5,000 and be willing to sort of live lean, so to speak, for a bit. Because if I want to be around a better caliber of people, I've got to get the qualifications. I basically got to become that better caliber of individual. I've got to make that leap from being just a technician to having, what an engineer is supposed to have. And it's more than just having an engineering degree. And, trying to make the most of this time so I can put myself in a better position in the near future. Because, I'm personally facing, tough times ahead. And, if the times get tough, I gotta get it moving if I'm gonna be tough. So, that's sort of some of the stuff that's happening with me. What's going on right now in my mentality and, my life and all that. Like I said, I have been contacted by recruiters. I'm not really sure how exactly to respond to them. I'm going to have to sort of formulate that and send out some messages on LinkedIn, even some of the ones I didn't respond to, in the last week or two. Maybe just ask about if there's any open positions, period, et cetera. But, what else? I don't know. I think one thing I would say is in the past I've said that I want to get away from people. I'm not sure if it's really that I want to get away from people. It's more so I want to choose who I end up around, because there's a certain caliber of individual or certain, you could say group of individuals out there somewhere that who I would want to be around and whom I would quote unquote click with. And it's sort of a lot of times in life, you can't actually choose who you're going to be around or who you will end up working with or that sort of deal. But I think there is a sort of possibility if you quote unquote play your cards right, you do the work, you make the effort, and you sort of you invest your time and your money in the right pursuits and the right the right ways. If you sort of figure to put your eggs all in the right basket, so to speak, you can get yourself to a point where you are able to choose who you're going to be around, who you're going to be working with and living around and interacting with to a significant enough extent. Maybe not down to the finite, what do you call it? Most minute details. There may be, that one or two people on your team or whatever, whoever you don't get along with necessarily, but to a significant enough extent, that you've improved your life. But that does take work, that does take effort. It's not something that's easily accomplished. And just saying that it's not going to be easier, that it does take effort, it doesn't justify allowing people and circumstances to either A, get in your way, or B, be a drain on you, or C, do all manner of horrible things to you. Oh, I said it was going to be tough, so well, I guess I'll have to just take, no, you don't have to. But I think the other thing I want to comment on this video, this is more to Alex. Yeah, like I said, you could just set up another channel and obviously try and keep it hidden. I kind of hope that that your ex-girlfriend doesn't like follow you around on YouTube, to wherever you comment or wherever, because I think one of the things I just wouldn't want to have happen is to have like someone like that end up on my channel. I mean, I'd block them, or I'd delete them, or delete their comments and block them, that sort of deal. But assuming that's even an option. But one of the reasons I have this channel is like sort of like my space where I can speak honestly to a significant extent. Not always, obviously I have to steer clear of certain topics and stuff of that nature, which is something of a hindrance upon me, but it's sort of something that I'm willing to sort of, price I'm willing to pay, so to speak, because the topics in question are like, they're not so immediate, you know what I'm saying? Like, they are significantly abstracted from my day-to-day existence that, by and large, I can avoid them. Even though it's becoming increasingly difficult to do that in the contemporary environment, that I think most of those who are either subscribed to my channel or viewers or people I interact with, it's becoming increasingly difficult to avoid those sorts of, issues and topics, but it's not impossible. And especially since, like, my predominant focus, especially right now, is, like, it's on things like career building, money, mental health, physical health, fitness, stuff like that. And it's like, I've become of this mindset that, like, I'll deal with all those things related to things like politics and religion and, culture. Like, I'll deal with that when I get to a point where I can't actually deal with that, it's kind of like I've thought about getting, for instance, involved in like the political realm. I've kind of looked at that, but when you understand how so much of this stuff really works, it's like something it's almost a luxury of those who are well established enough financially and otherwise that they can go, you know what, taking care of all these basic needs, I'm stable and I'm established and that sort of thing. Yeah, now I kind of feel like I'm gonna, throw my hat in the ring, that sort of a deal. It's kind of like you gotta have a hat to throw in the ring. You gotta have a horse in the race. You gotta have all of that already. And, you could say it's unfortunate, I suppose, but, there's reasons kind of like why it's like that, but that's essentially like why I'm willing to sort of put off getting into that kind of stuff, for the time being, unless it really does become such a pressing issue that it's like, okay, now it is sitting right in front of me. It's the, 350-pound elephant in the room. It's the meteor that fell out of the sky and landed, into my life. And okay, now I have to talk about this, As long as I don't have to, as long as it's not really directly impacting upon me, then, I'll put it off until a later date to talk about that sort of stuff. especially since, like I said, there's far more pressing concerns that I'm staring down and facing down right now. So, um, this is not like a mark against you, Alex, or anybody else. Um, I just kind of view this channel as sort of like it's been predominantly for myself, like, and and I see it, as something of a space that can be, you know, to a certain extent utilized, I suppose, as long as things are kept on topic and nobody tries to sort of, I guess you could say, take over this space and turn it into something that's purely serving whatever needs for drama or whatever somebody might have. But it's predominantly been if not entirely been, the space that I have where, like I said, I can be honest about things to a significant extent. I can talk about stuff that is on my mind or is bugging me. And, it's one of the reasons why I like, and this is, a bit of my like 2 cents, you could say, but it's been one of the main reasons why I have made it a point to keep this, channel like hidden from people like who, I literally interact with or have interacted with, in the recent past, or away from my family and, the friends I've had or have, and, coworkers and whoever, because that's sort of like that's something about life, um, you sort of do need your space where you can speak honestly about stuff, and it's not even necessarily having to do with politics or religion or any of the sort of hot button topics that you'll hear about spoken of in the quote unquote media. It's just you even being able to like talk about, I don't know, a relationship you're in, with some girl, or some issue you're dealing with a girl you like, or some interpersonal conflict you're contending with from like coworkers or people in school or whatever. If you need a place to just get stuff off your chest, like, you do need a space like that. And of course, the irony is it's sort of like you got to maintain a certain level of anonymity in order to be able to even talk about stuff like that, which isn't even like, sort of hot button issues. It's just, okay, I want to talk about my life. And, I've always kept this channel like basically hidden from any of those folks, because I know some of them, like, they got sort of a troll mentality where they would approach it from that sort of thing, that sort of an angle, where they would sort of watch these videos to, have even like more, try to glean knowledge from them about me that they could use against me, or they would hop on here and like just leave, dickhead comments, or they would get, their fellow trolls to sort of gang up on me and, hey, he's got this channel and, let's go there and, harass him on that. And some of them would really like be persistent about it. Like, even if I blocked like all their accounts they'd create, they would just go and do, and it would be like, it would always be some new person. They would spread it around. Like, when I was in undergrad, it would be like, we're talking like maybe 20, 30 people who would want to hop on there and watch some videos. And I'm sure some of them, maybe they wouldn't, but there would be some sort of drama, or, perhaps it even serve as another means for someone to like get back at me. There, out of that 20 or 30 people, there would probably be at least a handful who would be real dickhead trolls. And there was that girl, and like, who knows, maybe one of them would be like, hey, see this video? And they show, and oh, look, he's obsessing about you, and he said this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And like, who knows, maybe someone would put it into her head to like, have gone to the quote unquote authorities and like, someone reported me or tried to get me in trouble or something. I mean, she did enough damage, using relational aggression. It's like one of the reasons why, like, as much as I posted to this channel, I talk about things, like, I would make it a point to never, give away sort of by the name of the channel, I think I made some passing remarks about it one time, but then I was like, nah, I'm not telling anybody the name of this channel because, of all the channels I have, like, even though it has the most coverage or, followers or whatever, subscribers, it's just one of those things where I want to keep this stuff, not just to myself, but only to those who, I guess don't have almost like an axe to grind with me, And, to that end, like, I always say if you do make a new channel, and you want to let anybody know about it, like, I sort of keep that to, private messages to folks who you can trust. And I'm sure you probably already thought about this. Okay, how would I handle this? How would I keep this sort of stuff private? But really, you'll have to figure that out because it seems like the individual you're referring to or dealing with, like, potentially or possibly or maybe has certain traits to her, and of course there are other people out there, traits to them that sort of like they'll look at the videos you make as I don't know, almost like fuel or ammunition to use against you. Oh, look at this guy, he's obsessing about me, and oh, I can laugh at him as he struggles through, whatever, or I can just go and, like, troll him, harass him on there, and, get my kicks that way, whatever. And, with that in mind, like, try to get that stuff private. And obviously, limit the knowledge of it to those who you can trust. It's like I do have this other channel, but I haven't really, done much on there. But that's like the one channel that, like, my ex-girlfriend knows about. And it's like I have old, like, footage from when I would visit her, from that time on there. I have it on, I think, on this channel as well, but I started sort of going through and deleting a lot of those old videos on that other channel, in part because of what I wanted to turn that channel into eventually. Stuff that'd be more like, more of a wider appeal, more public, I guess you could say. And, as such, like, I would want to remove all that kind of stuff and clear that out and curate that. But, again, like, that's the channel that she knows about. She even cares to check that stuff anymore. And then, of course, there's this channel which I always kept private. One of the funny things is that now that I remember the other channel, I remember there's this one video I did. It was like a book review, and some, like, random girl decided to comment on it because, like, she had read that same book and was just, like, asking me about, like, oh, how do I know about these novels, because it was like Arabic literature translated into English. And I decided to go and read a bunch of those novels. I wanted to sort of gain a sort of perspective on the culture and all that because I was in a relationship with a girl from there. And this one girl just commented on it, and, like, my ex-girlfriend got so mad when she saw that. She's like, "Oh, it's like a dating profile," and it's like, I looked through the comments and I was just like, I don't know where in there you got this idea that it was a dating profile or like that. She wasn't, like, saying, "Oh, you're so cute," or anything. It was nothing like that. It was something like, truly, like, flirtatious and, sexual in any way or nature. It was like, "Oh, like, this is one of my favorite books, wow, that's interesting that, you found this book. How did you find out about that? Or what did you think about this? Or, hey, you might want to, read this book. Or, it was stuff like that. It was like there was nothing, of that nature about that. But she saw that. It's like, I don't want to imagine what she would say about this channel, or what she would do. Because, like, this channel is like, I dig deeper into a lot of other personal issues and topics and considerations and concerns and that sort of thing. So, honestly, if you're thinking about creating a new channel, migrate your videos over to there, download them or whatever from the old channel, and then really repopulate them on their channel. Like, go ahead and do that, but man, try to make sure she doesn't find out about that. And let's hopefully keep any of those people away from this channel, this space, because I kind of need this channel to a significant extent, so anyways, I wouldn't say I need it, but it's very helpful to have this channel. So anywho, that's it for me for now. And I guess, like what? I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support, and take care. Bye-bye.